Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin. "My brothers," he said, "I have always done my duty to God. To this day I feel that I have done nothing wrong." Ananias, the high priest, heard this, so he ordered the man standing near Paul to hit him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, "You pretender, God will hit you. You sit there and judge me by the law, but you yourself broke the law when you commanded them to hit me." Those who were standing near Paul spoke to him. They said, "How dare you talk like that to God's high priest?" Paul replied, "Brothers, I didn't realize he was the high priest. It is written, 'Do not speak evil about the ruler of your people.'" Paul knew that some of them were Sadducees and the others were Pharisees, so he called out to the members of the Sanhedrin. "My brothers," he said, "I am a Pharisee. I come from a family of Pharisees. I believe that people will rise from the dead. That's why I'm on trial." When he said this, the Pharisees and the Sadducees started to argue. They began to take sides. The Sadducees say that people will not rise from the dead. They don't believe there are angels or spirits either. But the Pharisees believe all these things. People were causing trouble and making a lot of noise. Some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up. They argued strongly. "We find nothing wrong with this man," they said. "What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?" The people arguing were getting out of control. The commanding officer was afraid that Paul would be torn to pieces by them, so he ordered the soldiers to go down and take him away from them by force. The officers had told them to bring Paul into the fort. The next night, the Lord stood near Paul. He said, "Be brave. You have told people about me in Jerusalem. You must do the same in Rome." The next morning, some Jews gathered secretly to make plans against Paul. They made a promise to themselves. They promised that they would not eat or drink anything until they killed him. More than 40 men took part in this plan. They went to the chief priests and elders. They said, "We have made a special promise to God. We will not eat anything until we have killed Paul. Now then, you and the Sanhedrin must make appeal to the commanding officers. Ask him to bring Paul to you. Pretend you want more facts about his case. We are ready to kill him before he gets here." But Paul's nephew heard about this plan, so he went into the fort and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the commanders. He said to him, "Take this young man to the commanding officer. He has something to tell him." So the commander took Paul's nephew to the officers. The commander said, "Paul, the prisoner, sent for me. He asked me to bring this young man to you. The young man has something to tell you." The commanding officer took the young man by the hand. He spoke to him in private. "What do you want to tell me?" the officer asked. He said, "Some Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul to the Sanhedrin tomorrow. They will pretend they want more facts about him. Don't give in to them. More than 40 of them are waiting in hiding to attack him. They have promised that they will not eat or drink anything until they have killed him. They are ready now. All they need is for you to bring Paul to the Sanhedrin." The commanding official let the young man go, but he gave him a warning. "Don't tell anyone you have reported this to me," he said. Then the commanding officer called for 2 of his commanders. He ordered them gather a company of 200 soldiers, 7 horsemen, and 200 men armed with spears. Get them ready to go to Caesarea at 9 o'clock tonight. Provide horses for Paul so that he may be taken safely to Governor Felix. Here is the letter the official wrote. I, Claudius Lysias, am writing this letter. I'm sending to His Excellency Governor Felix. Greetings. The Jews grabbed Paul. They were about to kill him, but I came with my soldiers and saved him. I have learned that he is a Roman citizen. I wanted to know why they were bringing charges against him, so I brought him to their Sanhedrin. I found out that the charge against him was based on question about their law, but there was no charge against him worthy of death or prison. Then I was told about a plan against the man, so I sent him to you at once. I also ordered those bringing charges against him to present their case to you. The soldiers followed their orders. During the night, they took Paul with them. They brought him as far as Antipatris. The next day, they let the horsemen go on with him. The soldiers returned to the fort. The horsemen arrived in Caesarea. They gave the letter to the governor. Then they handed Paul over to him. The governor read the letter. He asked Paul where he was from. He learned that Paul was from Cilicia. So he said, I will hear your case when those bringing charges against you get here. Then he ordered that Paul be kept under guard in Herod's palace. Acts chapter 24. 5 days later, Ananias the high priest went down to Caesarea. Some elders and a lawyer named Tertullus went with him. They brought their charges against Paul to the governor, so Paul was called in. Tertullus began to bring in the charges against Paul. He said to Felix, we have enjoyed a long time of peace where you have been ruling. You are a wise leader. You have made this a better nation. Most excellent Felix, we gladly admit this everywhere and in every way, and we are very thankful. I don't want to bother you, but would you be kind enough to listen to us for a short time? We have found that Paul is a troublemaker. This man stirs up trouble among Jews all over the world. He is a leader of those who follow Jesus of Nazareth. He even tried to make our temple impure. So he arrested him. Question him yourself. Then you will learn the truth about all these charges we are bringing against him. The other Jews said the same thing, and they agreed that the charges were true. The governor motioned for Paul to speak. Paul said, I know that you have been judge over the nation for quite a few years, so I'm glad to explain my actions to you. About 12 days ago, I went up to Jerusalem to worship. You can easily check on this. Those bringing charges against me did not find me arguing with anyone at the temple. I wasn't stirring up a crowd in the synagogues or anywhere else in the city. They cannot prove to you any of the charges they are making against me. It is true that I worship the God of our people. I'm a follower of the way of Jesus. Those bringing charges against me call it a cult. I believe everything that is in keeping with the law. I believe everything that is in keeping with what is written in the prophets. I have the same hope in God that these men themselves have. I believe that both the godly and ungodly will rise from the dead. So I always try not to do anything wrong in the eyes of God or in the eyes of people. I was away for several years. Then I came to Jerusalem to bring my people gifts for those who were poor. I also came to offer sacrifices. They found me doing this in the temple courtyard. I had already been made pure and unclean in the usual way. There was no crowd with me. I didn't stir up any trouble. But there are some other Jews who should be here in front of you. They are from Asia Minor. They should bring charges if they have anything against me. Let the Jews who are here tell you what crime I'm guilty of. After all, I was put on trial by the Sanhedrin. Perhaps they blame me for what I said when I was on trial. I shouted, I believe that people will rise from the dead. That is why I'm on a trial here today. Felix knew all about the way of Jesus, so he put off the trial for the time being. Lysias, the commanding official, will come, he said, and I will decide your case. He ordered the commander to keep Paul under guard. He told him to give Paul some freedom. He also told him to allow Paul's friend to take care of his needs. Several days later, Felix came with his wife Drusilla. She was a Jew. Felix sent for Paul and listened to him speak about faith in Jesus, Christ Jesus. Paul talked about how to live a godly life. He talked about how people should control themselves. He also talked about the time when God will judge everyone. Then Felix became afraid. That's enough for now, he said. You may leave. When I find the time, I will send for you. He was hoping that Paul would offer him some money to let him go. So he often sent for Paul and talked with him. 2 years passed. Porcius Festus took the place of Felix, but Felix wanted to do the Jews a favor, so he left Paul in prison.